Hi, my name is Matt. I run three different YouTube channels, and this is where I share all the content with you so that we can all grow together. Today, we're going to talk about analyzing a small channel and fixing some of the mistakes that we see. Now, I want to start first by talking about looking at the titles first. So, a title should be a complement to the thumbnail, and the thumbnail should allow some clarity to what the title is talking about. And what I mean by this is that you don't want the thumbnail and the title to be exactly the same. They're two different pieces of element. They're going to be looked at. Usually people look at one and then they look at the other for clarity. So you want to keep in mind that a lot of people are reading the thumbnails, and when they read the thumbnail, then they look, or excuse me, when they read the title, then they look up at the thumbnail. If they make sense together and one complements the other, and answers or brings clarity to the other, that's when you get a click. You don't want it to be a simple thumbnail, a simple title that repetitively repeats what's on the thumbnail. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that makes sense. What I'm trying to say there is that they don't need to be the same. They need to be complementary and extend the story beyond just the title. All right. The second one is check the thumbnails for clarity. Now, when I'm building a thumbnail, what I like to do is build the thumbnail with no words first. Absolutely no words, where I can basically look at the thumbnail and know what this video is going to be about. Then I add in between 1 and 5 words, usually trying to keep it to one, two, or three, to really crystallize what the video is about and make it really quick, or to bring up that element of question like, really? Or this really happened? Or is this possible? Something along those lines. But when you make the thumbnail itself tell the story, then you can make the details or the few words that you include. And the reason you only want a few words is most people don't realize how little time you have for someone to look at the thumbnail and go on. Do this test yourself. Go look on a page and scroll through and see which video, the first video you want to watch, and think about how long you actually spend scanning each of those thumbnails. If there's too much on it, if there's too much clutter, if there's too many images, if there's too much text, you skip it completely and you move on to the next one. You're looking for a very clear picture of what's going to go on. I usually use the text to create a little bit of spice or a little bit of question. And then I use the title to complement it, or the thumbnail complements the title. And if it works both ways, you get bonus points for that. All right. Um, Identify if the content is discoverable. And let me tell you what I mean by this. So, point three is to identify if the content is discoverable. And a lot of times, what you have is people like to leave so much to mystery that nobody knows what they're clicking on. And you're not going to get a lot of views that way. What you need to do is make sure they understand what they're clicking on and make sure they have clear expectations of what they're going to get for that, and make the answer the part that leaves the mystery. Because if you do it the other way around, nobody knows what you're clicking on, and you're going to have a really hard time getting people to click on things they don't understand. It may show up on their feed because the content inside is something that YouTube thinks they want to watch. But if the thumbnail and the title don't match that, then when they see it, they scroll right on past. It doesn't grab their eye, or doesn't bring enough information. You got to remember, you're convincing people to give you their time. And that means that you need to give them enough to convince them that they need to come in to get the answer to something. But they only need to come in and get the answer to something if they know what they need from that answer. And that's where you have to do it. You pick that they're going to get an answer to a problem, and then make sure you deliver that problem or that answer within the content so that they're satisfied and they stay to watch the video. The fourth is see which video performs best. So usually what you can do, and I do this when I do an analysis of a channel, is I always go look for the high outliers. vidIQ is useful for this, and there's tons of other tools that you can use, and I'll show you the outliers. Or you can just go to um, YouTube, and you can say sort videos based on most popular, and on their homepage to say most popular videos, and they'll tell you the ones that perform the best. This is really where you want to look at, is the niche the same videos that they're getting the most popularity for, or have they posted things that don't really fit the channel because they're so desperate to get links? And the two sometimes really don't line up. And what ends up happening is you end up with a bunch of subscribers that don't match the actual content that you want to produce. And then you end up with a channel that doesn't perform well. And you really need to fix that by sticking to a maybe broad, but more narrow enough that everyone who subscribes wants to watch most of the content that comes out, but broad enough that you aren't talking to 100 people. And that's what I'm saying. If you're talking about putting together, certain types of puzzles, you may have a problem finding that group that just wants that certain type of puzzles. But if you're talking about putting together all puzzles, everything about puzzles, you could find a large group of people that fit into that category. And most people in that category would watch most videos in that category, but they may not watch the one about this specific type of puzzle. So that's something to keep in mind, is watch for that content to make sure that the ones that are performing well are the ones that you're using, that the channel is about, that match the niche. All right. Fifth on the list is look for consistency in the topic. Now, we kind of talked about this a little bit. It's kind of redundant, but it's worth saying. When we talk about consistency, most people think about timelines, and they're going to release a video every day, every week, every month, every blah, blah, blah. And that's important. But what's even more important, or equally important, or slightly more important, maybe is the right way to say it, is that you release content within your niche and the broad aspect of your niche. And as we just talked about with releasing content, you want to make sure that it's not so narrow that you're doing a specific type of puzzle, but that you're doing a group of puzzles and all the things about puzzles. And that's kind of one of the good example. And another good example would be is if you do fishing videos about fishing reels only, you may have a hard time finding people that are interested in just fishing reels, because if you're not looking in the market for a new fishing reel, it may not be enough people to really care. Maybe, but maybe not. But if you just do a general fishing channel, most of the people that are on a general fishing channel will watch a review here and there about a new fishing reel. And who knows, maybe they're in the market, maybe they're not, maybe they'll watch it just because they like you. So that's something that you really want to do, is look for the best performing videos and the consistency in the topic. And those kind of go hand in hand, but it's a really important aspect of making sure that your channel grows. I did this really well with my solar channel. And when I originally started, the one thing that I did is I created this, what I call a persona of a person. And I picked it was actually one of my neighbors, and he was talking to me about solar and asking me some questions. And I said, that's the guy. When I make a video, that I pretend that I'm talking to him every single time, because he is the person I want to attract. And I make sure that I talk to him at different stages that I knew him. When I first met him, he had these questions. Now that I've known him for a year, he had these questions. And I want to make sure that that person at all different stages of the persona, and I ended up having 3 different personas for this guy. The guy I've never met before, his persona when I first met him that first day, the persona of him after a couple of months of me talking to him, and that persona now that he has all the knowledge, what would he want to know? And make sure that my videos attract all 3 of those groups of people, because YouTube expects you to have subscribers that want to watch your videos and stay and watch them. But but they also want, in order to give you more traffic and exposure to new people, they want new people to want to watch them also. So you need to make sure you attract both kinds and keep it on subject the right people, because if you don't, then your channel starts to fade because you start getting mixed signals. You lose a lot of your subscribers to inactivity because the content doesn't match what they're looking for. Um, Look for simple improvements, not massive rewrites. If you do a massive rewrite, you're not going to be able to adjust going forward. You're going to have this massive change to your website, to all of your content, to all of your videos, to your schedule, to your times, to everything. And you're not going to know what's working, what's not working. So my suggestion is take the 1% rule. And the 1% rule is that 1% every video you get better than the video before. And if you get better 1% every single video, then you are going to start to see marked improvements. And that means that if you're getting bad click through rate, then you focus for a video or maybe two, getting 1% one video, 2% better the next video, 3% better the next video. And then when that works, you focus on titles, you focus on thumbnails, and you're going to get a number of click throughs. Then you're going to take a look and say, oh, well, now my 1% focus really needs to be on retention and getting people to stay here and watch these videos. So you focus on new editing techniques, you focus on the realism of what you're doing. You focus on the way you script things. You focus on things that would make people want to watch your videos. Maybe better ideas. Maybe you spend, instead of releasing 3 videos a week, you release 2 videos a week or 1 video a week, so that you can get good quality that everyone wants to watch. But that's simple improvements. Don't try to fix the whole world in one thing. And then focus on one or two key changes with every video. Don't try to go in, and even if there's small micro changes, don't try to change 100 little things. Too quickly changing can alienate the subscribers you have and cause them to stop watching also. Sometimes people are fickle. They come in, they see a video, they subscribe, and 2 videos later, it isn't really what they were expecting and they unsubscribe. So you don't want to change too much too fast. I would say pick at most 2 items, probably 1 item, and then see if you can improve that item each and every time you do. Now, that means you could do one on thumbnails this time, you could do one on titles the next time, you could do one on retention rate the following time with maybe a better editing, maybe a better intro, maybe a better hook. And there's thousands of items. And if you're looking for ideas on how to improve 1% every time, post down below and I'll give you a list of great ideas. And if that doesn't work, you can always go to ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, here's my YouTube channel is about this, and I'm looking for ways to get 1% better every time. Can you give me 100 top 100 suggestions that you think that I need to know? And it will give you a good list that you can use, and you can go through and pick a few of those. Anyway, I hope this helps. My name is Matt. I hope you'll subscribe so that we can talk more and get more content and both get better educated on how to make our channels bigger and better and enjoy the process even more than we do today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.